Hello, everyone, and welcome back to the podcast. I am your host, Alex, and we are recording today from our studio in Columbus, Ohio. It is one of those typical November mornings where the sky is just a solid sheet of gray. It looks like it is either going to snow or stay freezing cold all day.
That is classic Ohio weather for you, Alex. I am Sarah, and I am thrilled to be here to discuss a topic that, honestly, causes a lot of quiet anxiety for English learners.
You hit the nail on the head. We are talking about either and neither. These two words seem simple, but the fear of using them incorrectly can make someone freeze mid-sentence.
Exactly. It is that undiscussed pain of feeling uneducated because you mixed up an N at the beginning of a word. But today, we will strip away that confusion.
Let's start with the basics. Either is about options. It is about a choice between two things, right?
Precisely. Think of either as the any one of the two word. If I offer you a seat in the front or the back of my car, and you do not care which, you say, either is fine.
I understand. It suggests flexibility. In our local context, if someone asks if you want to go to a Buckeyes game or a Blue Jackets game, you might say, I'd go to either one.
Wait, I have to stop you there. We should mention the pronunciation. In the US, you will hear either most often, but some people say either. Both are correct.
That is a good point for our listeners. Do not let the different sounds confuse you. Now, what about the structure? We usually use either with the word or, correct?
Yes, either A or B. For example, we can either order pizza or make sandwiches. It connects two positive possibilities.
Okay, now let's pivot to the darker side of the coin. Neither. This is where the negation comes in.
Neither is essentially not one and not the other. If either is about selecting, neither is about rejecting both options.
So if I'm looking at two houses to buy in this expensive Columbus market, and both have leaky roofs, I would say neither house is acceptable.
Exactly. And just as either pairs with or, neither pairs with nor. Neither the location nor the price was right.
Does nor sound a bit too formal for a casual conversation at a coffee shop, though?
It can. In very casual speech, Americans sometimes cheat and use or with neither. But if you want to be correct, stick with nor. It shows you have a command of the language.
Let's dig deeper into the truth matrix. Is there something about these words that even native speakers get wrong?
Absolutely. It is called the proximity rule for subject-verb agreement. This is a big one.
Wait, really? Explain that. I think I might even be guilty of this.
If you have a singular and a plural subject, the verb agrees with the one closer to it. For example, neither the teacher nor the students are here. But if you flip it, neither the students nor the teacher is here. Most people want to say are because students is in the sentence, but is correct because teacher is closer.
That is a fascinating nuance. It feels counterintuitive because your brain sees multiple people, but the grammar focuses on the closest neighbor.
Exactly. Now, let's talk about another common pain point, agreeing with negative statements. This is where me either and me neither come into play.
I hear me either all the time in Ohio. I don't like this snow. Me either. Is that actually correct?
In casual conversation, it is widely accepted. However, grammatically, it should be me neither or I don't either.
So neither already has the not built into it. If I say I don't either, I am using the don't to provide the negation.
Precisely. Double negatives are a trap. You should never say I don't want neither. That implies you actually do want something.
That would be very confusing at a restaurant. I don't want neither soup nor salad. The waiter would just stare at you.
They would. In the US, especially in professional settings, clarity is kindness. Using neither correctly shows you are a clear thinker.
Let's do some practice scenarios for our listeners. Suppose we are at a local office here in Florida or Ohio, and we are planning a meeting. Sarah, can we meet on Monday or Tuesday? If you are open to both, how do you respond?
I would say either day works for me. It is simple, professional, and definitive.
And what if you are completely booked and cannot make it to either one?
I would say, unfortunately, neither Monday nor Tuesday works for my schedule.
That is very clear. It leaves no room for guessing. I think many learners feel that neither sounds too harsh or negative. Is there a way to soften it?
You can add a polite buffer. I'm afraid neither option is feasible right now. Adding I'm afraid or unfortunately takes the edge off.
That is a great tip. Now, what about using either at the end of a sentence? For example, I don't like that movie either.
That is a very common way to agree with a negative statement. If the first sentence has a not, you use either at the end to match it.
Wait, let's clarify that for our audience. If I say, I like apples, you say, I like them too. But if I say, I don't like apples, you say, I don't like them either.
Correct. Using to with a negative sentence is a very common mistake. You cannot say, I don't like apples too. It sounds very jarring to a native ear.
It sounds like the speaker is confused about their own opinion. It's those little things that build real fluency.
Exactly. It is about building a foundation where you do not have to think twice before you speak.
Let's talk about the economic reality of these choices. Sometimes neither is a power move. In negotiations, saying neither of these offers works for us can be very strong.
It can. It signals that the other party needs to bring a third, better option to the table. It is about boundaries.
I notice that we are talking about two things. Can we use either or neither for three things?
Technically, no. If you have 3 or more options, you should use any or none.
So either and neither are strictly for pairs. That makes it easier to remember. They are the binary words.
Precisely. If you were choosing between 3 different restaurants in downtown Columbus, you would say, none of these look good, not neither of these look good.
That is a common mistake I hear even from advanced learners. They use neither as a general negative for everything.
Yes, and it takes away from the precision. When you use neither, people know exactly that you are comparing 2 specific things.
Before we wrap up, Sarah, do you have any memory tricks or hacks for our listeners to keep these straight?
I always tell my students, look at the letter N. Neither starts with N, just like no and not and nor. If it has an N, it is negative.
That is brilliant. In for negative. And either starts with an E, which you can think of as either/even. It is inclusive.
Exactly. And remember that either or and neither nor rhyme. They just flow together naturally.
Well, Sarah, thank you for braving the Ohio cold to come into the studio today. This has been incredibly helpful.
It was my pleasure, Alex. I hope our listeners feel like they can go out and use these words without fear now.
To our listeners, take one of these words and try to use it today. Whether you write it in an email or say it at lunch, practice is the only way. We will be back next week with more deep dives. Until then, stay warm and keep learning.